Rumi wrote, "You wake the dead to life, you fountain of grace, you fire in thickets of tangled thought." He might have been thinking of anything when he wrote this, but for me, he was describing poetry. This is Sunil Bhandari, and you are listening to Uncut Poetry. The love story of an accountant and a poet. Sometimes she will read a few poems to me and walk away frustrated, as if there was nothing left to say. For if I didn't understand what she'd meant, I didn't deserve her presence either. I would loudly say elitist to her departing back, angry that I was left with scraps of words which were clearly for me, but which I could not understand, for they passed life like a puzzle. Such does the tumult of a love story evolve between the prosaic and the poet, as she understands the poetry of a stone in a river, but not the dull text of a taciturn heart. But I often wonder, as we sit together with our glasses of wine in conciliatory evenings, talking randomly about the pinpricks and hygge of our days, whether we were really different. After she listened with care to my history of a dull day, she invited me into the tales of her zigzag meanderings, even as she slipped her hand in mine with a sigh of relief. "I write poetry, my dear," she said, "but you live it every day, in the moments you fill with the work you so love and your serene look after balancing your acrimonious accounts." And thus we live, the star and the dust, arguing and living, finding solace in a spreadsheet or a moon, as I find poetry in numbers and she fills pages with her poems. And thus we live, the star and the dust, arguing and living, finding solace in a spreadsheet or a moon, as I find poetry in numbers and she fills pages with her poems. I've often looked at couples who are so different from each other that together they seem to move like oil and water. And then I blink and look again and I see a strange alchemy at work, a layering more than a blending, a stitch crochet then a cocktail, a sun-entrenched they then smog, and they progressively look like a gorgeously knitted piece of warm wear together. How do people who seem to have nothing in common get attracted to each other and then find that balance which is the merging of maps and diversities? How do heaven and earth meet? It's simplistic to say that if someone loves talking, the perfect match is the person who is a great listener, or the aggressive one needs the calm presence beside her. Habits can be nature, but they need nurturing to be character. And people who gravitate towards each other do so because something in them has transcended the constraints of skin-deep deterrents and found something subtler inside to connect to. A poet might then be drawn to the accountant because both recognize they are artists merely writing on different media. An actress can then be seduced easily by the sportsman because both revel in the creative and the risky. The social butterfly might love the slow retiring kind because she finds her resting space in him. The ties which bind have roots deep in the chemistry of our beings. Contrasts also gravitate towards each other to fill unseen emptinesses inside. The man tongue-tied and tied up because of being shut up throughout his life is completely blown away by the brazen and the bold. The woman surrounded 24 hours in a vortex of talk, energy and confusion will plunge headlong into a man who seems to be an ocean of calmness and gravitas. Often such contrasts turn out to be false manifestations of shallow beings, and the bond crumbles in the face of revelations. But when it conjoins into a fulfillment of what a true seeker finds, It is like a holy union, an alliance made in heaven. Angelita Lim said, I saw that you were perfect and so I loved you. Then I saw that you were not perfect and I loved you even more. Maybe then the dynamics of relations are the universe's tease, its magic to make life an exhilarating and often unexpected trip. This is Sunil Bhandari and you were listening to Uncut Poetry. I have a fantastic newsletter called The Uncuts. It's a weekly dosage of culture, art, music, poetry. Please do subscribe to it. The link is in the notes. And if you love this episode, do share it with someone you love. And follow Uncut Poetry on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Ghana, JioSaavn or wherever you get your podcasts from. See you next week.